best damn lover you got. I wanna mess up your covers. I don't wanna meet your mother. Never ever ask me how I've been. Remember why you have my number. I'm the best thing that has ever happened to you. Here's your time to shine. Now show me what you can do. The way my hands feel on your body, the way we're dancing in the dark. With every move I make, you're falling. The way my lips feel on your body, the way we're moving in the dark. With every breath we take, you're falling. I ain't got no time for romance, but baby I don't want to lead you on. Not looking for something steady, not ready for that. I'm the best thing that has ever happened to you. Here's your time to shine. Now show me what you can do. Make a move. The way my hands feel on your body, the way we're dancing in the dark. With every move I make, you're falling. The way my lips feel on your body, the way we're moving in the dark. With every breath we take, you're falling. Every breath that we're taking, with every step you're falling in love. With every move that I'm making, every breath that we're taking, with every step you're falling in love. With every move that I'm making, I'm the best thing that has ever happened to you. Here's your time to shine. Now show me what you can do. Make a move. The way my hands feel on your body, the way we're dancing in the dark. With every move I make, you're falling. The way my lips feel on your body, the way we're moving in the dark. With every breath we take, you're falling. Every breath that we're taking, with every step you're falling in love. With every move that I'm making, every breath that we're taking, with every step you're falling in love. With every move that I'm making,
How I tried, written down the words to say. It is time. I've been waiting 5 days to explain how you make me feel inside. Baby, got it all figured out. Wanna do this right. There's no doubt in my mind. Baby, you're the one. And tonight I am going all the way. The way you touch my hand, it all goes away. The things I plan, the things I would say. Now I keep rambling on. I sound so cliche. What I am trying to do is say I love you. And all the things that you do. Sounds like a fool 'cause when you touch my hand, the words goes away. What I am trying to do is say I love you. You don't know how I shiver inside. Doesn't show, but my nerves are inside out. It's because you're not worth less than perfection.
We'll start soon. We'll start in about 5 to 10 minutes. Please stand by.
Touch my hand, it all goes away. The things I plan, the things I would say.
Hello. Hi. Good morning. Welcome to Gender Jam. Hi. So, I'm so glad that y'all came. It's a bit fuzzy, but I'll try to. I'm so glad that y'all came out for Gender Jam this morning. We're also live streaming on Facebook and I think YouTube. Not sure. So, to talk about gender, because this is the thing that most people want to talk about when they come in the cafe. And as a matter of fact, oddly enough, I was just on a gender channel, as I told you at UNEV last night, and we had really elemental questions like, how does gender affect us in modern day society? So I'm hoping that we can do a little bit more deep discussion about gender and its impact on our lives. Just trying to check up in the room because everyone on the panel is bilingual, right? Pero di ba to all English? English is okay. So the studio audience had requested we do this in English. All right, so I'm going to pass the mic and we will all introduce ourselves. My name is Denise. I'm here from the Vida, and pronouns she, her. Hello, my name is Nicole. That's it. Pronouns are they, them.
Hi, my name is Ray. Pronouns are he, him, or they, them. Both is fine. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Oscar, and my pronouns are also he, him.
I just realized we have another mic, and we're missing. So that one can stay over here, and this one can stay over here. Let me test them. I think this one is less. Is this one less fuzzy? All right, I think I got the fuzziest mic. All right, okay, so I'll go with this one and I'll turn this one off. Awesome. So let me start with the most important question: what is gender and how does it impact? No, I'm just kidding. All right. So one of the things that I was really excited to have this discussion, one of the reasons why I was really excited to have this discussion is because I feel like gender is this thing that we're like all swimming in, but like also no one notices it until they're like drowning somehow. Can you, and this is very metaphorical and maybe a little bit artistic, kind of think to a point of your life where you would say that was the point I was like drowning in it? Only our questions. I think actually only our questions. That was the instruction I got.
Should I? Okay. I think it's as you were saying, it's quite the metaphorical kind of dive into that dive. I don't think you can actually, I think for the longest time I couldn't really place the idea of gender in anything that had to do with me. I think also from the youngest age, you don't actually think about gender as a thing. You're just like, I exist and I guess this is fun, and then you start to grow in a way you probably don't really anticipate or want to, because people will tell you this is going to happen, but then it does and you're like, I'd rather not. And and I think then at some point it's a lot about the spaces you move in, I would like to think, because I think if I had stayed with the people I was spending time with and the groups I was in and just, the life I was living, I wouldn't have asked myself these questions all too much and just really not liked myself, I think so I think in terms of like when you would know, I think that's a really hard question because I don't think it's a thing you would ask cis people all too often. Like, when did you know that you were cis? You know what I mean? Or it's like, when were you super aware of it? So I think in that sense, it's quite difficult to place a moment, if not more a thing of like a whole development of things, and then kind of getting to a point where like, what now? I think that's the best way to describe it. Anyone?
Yeah, I think the question isn't about like when you knew you were whatever. It's more like when you felt like you were like drowning in it, right? Because I think also sometimes cis women definitely come to that as well, right? Because of their societal place. It's like they come to a place where they're just like hitting a wall, like, oh, this is kind of like how society is going to treat me now, right?
Yeah, I guess for me, I think a part where I was really kind of like, I feel drowning in it. So maybe for context, I was studying medicine for 2 years now, and I actually just quit it because I couldn't handle it anymore because yeah, that was an environment where I felt like I was really drowning in like my gender identity especially, and also other things. And I just felt super, like every time I would enter that environment, I felt super alienated from myself and also from all the people around me. And like especially medicine, it's extremely binary, and it's like you have men and women and everything, like all the parameters, everything is based on that. And then existing there as a trans person is just really painful at times. And yeah, so that was definitely an environment I was really drowning in regards to that. Yeah, I think that's the first one that came to mind for now.
And to the panel, Emma is also responsible for all of the technical stuff. So can everyone give Emma a round of applause, making it accessible to the world.
Thank you all. Yeah, can you repeat the question because I was busy with
Well,
the
first,
text?
can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Em. I'm an activist, mostly doing sound and video tech for the protests and so many other stuff. So I always have to look out. I'm not getting into burnout. Yeah, that's all to me. And my pronouns are they, them, or they, deren in German.
Yeah, Dan in German.
They, deren.
Okay. I'm learning the German pronouns, so that's awesome. And the question was, I forgot. Nicole, help me. I said, gender is so often like water that we're all swimming in, but we don't notice until we're drowning. And so it's a metaphorical question. Like, when did you think of a time where you figured out that, or you noticed that, oh, I'm drowning in this. Like, this is a lot.
Basically, when I was in my first burnout, I figured myself out. And yeah, gender is a big blob. I first thought I was, binary trans woman. And like 1 year later, I realized I'm non-binary. And I often may seem to conform to female gender norms, but that's not. It's best experience was when I was at my endocrinologist, and she didn't know why I was here for testosterone or estrogens. She didn't know why I was here, and that was like a nice non-binary experience.
I was thinking so hard about this. It's like, I don't know if I was ever drowning, or maybe I just blocked it out really hard. But I think I'm more so just taking the stream. I'm just riding along in this water. I'm just, I'm, no thoughts. I'm just going with this.
No thoughts, just gender.
Yeah. I'm like, I tend not to think about it too hard because then I get sad. So I just don't.
I think just to kind of like working, we'll see. Good. I think just to kind of follow up on that, I think in that sense we're drowning most of the time. I feel like unless we just decide to block it out, as Oscar was saying, it's like it's a constant thing of. We've talked about this a lot, where it's a thing of what am I doing? How am I like twisting and turning gender into what maybe could work for me, but is that okay? I think that's often a thing of like, do people see me as quote unquote crazy for doing that, when really it's just about like getting out of that stream and figuring out what's good for you. I think it's just a constant state of drowning, or or just nope.
Like maybe you're swimming along because like you've curated a community around you that is like your flotation device, like you're not swimming in shark infested waters for
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't think about this because I don't think about gender because like, oh, all the other ones think of it. I don't have to explain what I think because they're all like they're the same. I don't have to tell them my experience is their experience as well. The one time I would say I was thinking like a couple weeks ago I was at summer camp at a camp council every summer, and my kids thought I was a cis guy, and we had this pool next by, and I couldn't go swimming because like they cannot know, they can never know I have boobs. And one day I was like, it is so warm, I'm gonna go swimming, and a child walks by and goes, what? And I was just like, yeah, confuse the child. And that was the time when I was like, oh my god, no, I'm trans. And all the other people, all the adults were like, so like, what's this thing you have going on? And I was like, please leave me alone.
I imagine that was like really liberating for that child to see, right? Like, or for the children to see, because they, especially if that is something that they may do in the future, in terms of like becoming trans, becoming non-binary, then it's just like instant validation, right?
Yeah, we also have this one trans kid at camp. And also, they did not go swimming the entire week until the last day. We were both standing opposite of each other, both the exact same black swim trunk, the exact same black binder that I recommended to them months ago. We're just like, yeah, we're just like, whoa. And I was just went up to people like, look, we're the same.
One of the things about when I had the vision of this is I didn't want it to be, I don't want us to have to like explain what this is or what that is. And part of the reason for that is because as someone that has multiple identities, I think that people that are outside of my identities look at my identities as a site of struggle, whereas I look at my identities as a site of joy, right? And do you think that that's kind of like the key to success of like looking at whatever your identity is as like the site of like sort of like finding community and finding joy? And how do you do it?
It's interesting. Actually, like I have a rehearsal later on today because I'm curating this kind of like performance piece with two friends, where it's exactly about that. Like we just want to portray or show like trans joy and trans community, and not focus so much on the struggles, because I feel like, especially in like media and movies and plays and all of that stuff, a lot of the times you just focus on like struggles. And a lot of the times it's also this like one trans person kind of like singled out, only surrounded by cis people, and it's just about their pain and things they experience, and which is super important to showcase as well. But sometimes it's also really nice to show like, hey, it's not just a single trans person, but we're actually like, we're a community and there's a lot of us, and we find joy in that, and we find a lot of joy in our identity as well. And yeah. Yeah, I think that's super important to show that too, to show that it's not just struggle and pain, but also, yeah, lots of joy.
I think it's also really hard, because you were talking about media specifically. It's really hard to kind of find a balance between like a trans person struggling in like a show or a movie or whatever, a piece of content, but to also make it like, hey, we're all the same, we all struggle about the same things, but it's not, like it's a thing of like, how do you not single them out, but how do you also give them the space to exist as trans people and their experience being valid, but then also it's just every piece of content where it's like the thing of like, it's they, it's not she, or it's not he, you know, and it's like, and then they keep saying it the whole time. It's like, oh, you know, they're weird like that. And it's like, I'm just weird in general. Like, gender has nothing to do with that. And I feel like, as you're saying as well, it's like about trans joy just being a thing where what I'm noticing in my surroundings, because like I have a 9-to-5 job that's very like, I wouldn't say super corporate, but extremely like what I do is just very annoying in a lot of ways. And I work with, it's just very like human context. So I work in PR, and so I talk to lots of people, ridiculous people a lot of the time, really. And it's just very hard to kind of build a relationship, because it's always the thing of like, oh, did I say that correctly? Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm learning. And it's just like the thing of, it's all good. It's just like, we can just work alongside each other. We're just people. And it's very strange to kind of notice also how they almost feel guilty for not being trans or for not being queer, where it's a thing of like, I wish I could, but it's not for me. But like, I'm totally cool with you. It's like, do you want that? Like, it's very interesting for me to see, because I don't think any of us are in this position where we're like, I wish I were straight, because this life is so much better than the straight life, you know. But it's still a thing of like, very interesting, finding a balance, finding a way to like portray our lives, I guess, in media. So I think in that sense, like, portraying joy is also not the full picture. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's not only that, but heartbreak, for example, is very much a thing people experience. And trans heartbreak, like, I don't think that's any different in that sense, but also different. You know what I mean? It's like this whole, I just love Heartstopper, for example. That's just super calming for me, because it's like every time I think something bad's gonna happen, someone's gonna get beaten up or whatever, and it just doesn't happen, because that's like, I guess, how it should be, in a way. What we've been programmed for. Yeah.
It just reminded me, I once, like 2-3 months ago, I posted something on my Instagram story about something that happened to me on the streets, and some like, straight cis people from a uni replied to that story saying like, oh my god, I'm so sorry that happened to you, you're so strong, blah 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 blah. And I was just come on, like, that's not what I like need or want to hear. Like, just, I don't know, like, if you see someone else doing that or saying these things, then step in, but don't tell me how strong I am from, like, I don't have to like endure that or whatever. I just thought it was super ridiculous the way they replied to that. Like, yeah.
So, one sorry to the viewers, we had quite a few radio interferences here. I hope the audio is now better. And Denise, you really need to bring me up on speed where we are talking now.
We're talking about identity as a site of joy, and a site of like building community, and how do you do that?
How do I do that? I'm just existing. I'm just here, and queer, non-binary, and especially all the I don't have the English word now for that. At the same. Yeah, I get a nice feedback on how I'm just existing here, how I'm presenting here, how I'm radiating the power I have, and don't get undermined by today's society, all the far right, extreme political wings, and so. I'm just standing here, and that's how I bring joy to the community.
When you mentioned that, I was just thinking something back to what Nicole said and what Ray said about this kind of like common image we have of like struggle, and you're like waiting for a hate crime to happen every time you watch like a queer movie or queer media, right? And I think that that's part of it, right? That the struggle is so weaponized against us. It's not like just like, oh, this is an honest portrayal of a bad thing that happens. It's more like almost like this propaganda campaign to kind of keep us frozen in this place of like fear, so that we do not feel like we can fully express ourselves.
Yeah, and one thing what helped me is to cut off news and social media. I don't watch any news anymore. I'm hardly on social media. I'm still following many people, but every timeline I read is full of negative news. And cutting that out helps me.
I do have to say, though, I feel like the struggle is what helps people understand kind of what I mean, I know with my family, for example, the joy doesn't speak to them as much as the hate crime, where they're like, oh, this happens to you guys. We must really work on that. Like, we've had this conversation as well, where we're like, oh, the things that happen to us, things happen, but we embellish them in the opposite way of being like, awful things happen to us. Just to be like, our friends, this happened to, just for them to kind of think about like their bigotry in some ways and be like, oh, what we do to our children, like not seeing our children is harming them, whereas we as adults can help our kids by just raising awareness. That works so much better than being like, I'm happy. They don't care about that. So I think that's been a very interesting like thing to see. I mean,
although obviously it would be nice if they would care more about us being happy.
So would you say like prioritizing happiness is revolutionary? I know that it's life-saving, right? Like that's what the statistics bear out.
Yes, definitely. Prioritizing happiness, prioritizing the positive people in your life. Like, I have multiple romantic relationships, and in one of them, there's a child existing, and I love the child with my whole heart, and it radiates so much joy for me, and that joy radiates to other people. So yeah, prioritizing happiness is big key.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about romance. How do we negotiate gender within our romantic relationships? Like, does it complicate things? Does it make like the pot of potential partners way wider? Are you now like a better person because you have a better understanding of yourself? Like, how does that look for you? Anything you say can and will be held against you.
I say that I have romantic relationships, but I'm basically on the ace and aro spectrum, so asexual and aromantic spectrum. It's more like, okay, with most of my relationships, I use a non-escalator relationship menu where we talk about in detail about every stuff, so we know where we are, and yeah. That works for me. That works for my partners. Otherwise, yeah.
I do feel like it actually makes the dating pot so much smaller, but it also makes it so much better. Like there's, so many people I would not or couldn't date anymore because I know they just wouldn't understand very crucial parts of me and my identity and my personality, and I'm not down, or like I don't have the time to do like educational work with people I could potentially be dating or like potential partners, like just nope. And I do feel also in regards to like sexuality, like queer sex is just so much more fun, and there's so much more things you can do and explore that you could, like, I used to be in like very straight kind of relationships as well, and they were just incredibly boring. So, yeah.
Yeah, fun part about my polycule, they are all genderqueer, trans, non-binary. Often we have, Julie and I are talking about, we have one place as quota for cis people. So one relationship to cis person it takes weeks to months, and the person isn't cis anymore.
Conversion therapy works, is what you're saying. Like what?
No, it's not conversion therapy. It's the awareness. If you're in a relationship with genderqueer people, you get the awareness about more awareness about yourself, especially in our polycule, because we're activists too, and we're talking about that much. I mean, my realization I'm non-binary was because I was in a relationship with another non-binary person, and I got the awareness. Before that, I didn't know non-binary was a thing.
Oscar, you are so quiet. It's like a Simon and Garfunkel song over there. It's quiet.
I was thinking. I think with trans dating, it's so funny, not funny, because I think I'm so unlovable for being trans, which is one, ridiculous, because I'm also dating a trans person, so I know people can love trans people. And also, that person is dating me, so also people can love trans people, but also I'm like, why would anybody ever, why would they date a trans person? I'm like, I will only ever date trans people again, because I will not let a cis person touch me. I will not do that.
T for life.
Yeah, that's basically how my polycule quota works. You are in a relationship with me, you get transed.
So you had this like eureka moment within this relationship. Was this your first relationship with a trans person?
Well, I also have this thing of everybody I date turns out trans. But it takes them a while. They all come out after I dated them. So technically, yes, but also no. They all come out after I horribly broke their heart.
I once referred to myself as a gateway drug because of that. Like, I hit 5 people in a row that all came out right after or within the relationship with me. So, yeah. But do you think that there's like any like particular, so you highly recommend T for T. We're getting to that. But I'm trying to kind of like go deeper into like what is coming up for you like in that relationship, like the validation or like what you see reflected, like what you love about it.
I mean, reflected not much, because we're two very different flavors of trans. Because we go opposite ways of everything. But yeah, just like the instant thing of when I'm like, ugh, when I go in my spirit, I'm like, ugh, I'm just a woman dressing up. And they're like, shut the fuck up. No, you're a man. Stop doing this. You're the manliest man I've ever seen to man on this planet. You are a big, strong guy who's also tiny and petite and like, man. And I'm like, no. Yes. That's exactly how that goes.
So what I'm hearing is that you found someone who sees you the way you see yourself and also want to be seen, right? And that sounds really liberating.
Yeah, I think they also see me. I think I have like an idea of how I see me, which I don't do always, and they very much always stick to that. And they're like, no, remember, this is how you see you. The little angry thought that you're a woman is not actually real. You're just self-sabotaging. Stop it. It's very much just go, stop it. That's the quote I hear a lot. Stop it. Stop the thoughts.
Nicole, you're so quiet about relationships.
It's funny because the person right next to me is my partner. Just them talking about queer sex. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm so glad we're having a good time. I mean, I think that's pretty much what you guys have been saying. It's like the first person, while I was in the gender drowning thing, I dated a person where I was kind of we never talked about gender. We talked about body parts in a very like anatomical way, and it was very awkward. And then we broke it off shortly after, but we saw each other 6 months later. I was like, I'm non-binary now. They were like, yeah, me too. And that was extremely exciting. I was like, well, yeah, but that didn't work out. Anyway, to me, that's exactly what Oscar was saying. Like, I'm never letting a cis person touch me ever again. Like, it's just such a different and, yes, definitely liberating, but also so, like, I would almost say calming experience to be with a person who sees you exactly as you are and also understands the fluidity that comes with it. Because I think on some days, like, on some days, like, I feel like we figure out new, like, feelings, I guess, or new terms of how we feel on that specific day. And it's like, okay, we can try that for 5 minutes and we see how that goes. And we're not going to tell anyone. And it's also really sweet with my friends who are coming out that, like, sometimes we try new pronouns and no one knows about it except, like, the two of us in a lot of cases. And it's just very, like, there would never be the thought of, like, I'm just a woman dressing up as a man. I mean, of course, the thought is there all the time. That's what I was, I think, referring to before as well. Like, do people think I'm just super weird, you know, and, like, super confusing? And why would I be doing that? It makes no sense whatsoever. But maybe that's the point, is that what you're doing makes no sense whatsoever. Just staying in this box your whole life and saying, this makes sense, compared to trying things and just, like, discovering what works and what doesn't. Because we were also friends for 3 years before we got together, and we just watched each other grow. Like, the first interaction, he misgendered me. It was so cute. He was like, I think you're such a strong woman. And I was like, I'm not. And then 3 weeks later, you were like, yeah, they, them pronouns is my... And then I was like, oh my God, I changed you. It was like, this has nothing to do with you, but I will stand by this. I will stand that I changed you in that moment, being a strong woman. And, and it is, as you're saying, like, happiness, like, just prioritizing happiness in just a system that doesn't really give you the time of day to actually be happy and to be much more focused on, oh, the world is burning. Yeah, it is, but I can also be happy while it's burning. You know what I mean?
What just came up for me was that that viral meme of that person at Burning Man who was just like, yes, someone did die, but we're having a great time. I was like, oh, okay.
I think that is a lot of how it should be. I feel like I think that, I mean, I was raised in a country where war is a lot of, like, is a part of daily life. And so I was just like, this is normal. Like, this is completely normal. Like, something really bad happens, but the next day you go to a cafe with your friends. And, like, if you were to actually, I think that's also what I learned through my family, through a lot of intergeneration, you know, Jew stuff, lots of trauma there. And it's just, you learn to kind of have that be a thing, but also have to be happy or have to laugh about it. Otherwise you will just not be able to make it through the day. And I feel like that's just how you got to do it. And T for T is just the most joy I've ever felt. So I'm going to keep going.
Okay. T for life. Wait a second. I'm gonna make T-shirts for you. T for life. So my final question before we go to break, and then when we come back, we'll open the discussion up just a little bit, so you don't have to only have my questions. Is, like, what would you say to a younger version of yourself? This is something that is really near and dear to my heart, because here we have Activate, and there's also the trans youth group that meets here. And so I'm just really interested in your answers.
Fun backstory, when I was like 16, for like half a year, I was gender fluid. And then for some reason I was like, no, actually woman. And now I'm thinking, like, you idiot. We could have gotten this shit started so much sooner if you just weren't so dumb.
Stop it.
No, but like you had it figured out and then you just kind of let it go. And then it took so many years to be like, wait a second. I was onto something there. So I would be like, think it through. Let the thought marinate for a second. Don't let it go. You are right. That is who we are.
Yeah, basically the same. Tell me myself who I am, who I will be, and that I should live for myself and enjoy life and don't live for work or other people. Yeah, should.
Yeah, I think I would tell myself that it's worth it to keep going, even though you will have lots of moments in your life where you feel like you don't want to or can't anymore, but that it will be worth it to not let these thoughts fully take over and just keep going, and that you will feel lots of joy again and you will be able to be yourself and be surrounded by lots of people who actually love and appreciate you for that. And yeah, just that it's worth it, and also that I'm really proud of you, of like baby Ray.
Me too. We love you. Yeah, I've been quite bitter about that for a bit recently, because it's just like I feel like I came out later than I could have, should have, whatever. But then on the other hand, I think it's twofold, because it's also like you're raised in a certain system, you're raised with certain beliefs and values. Like I used to be a religious girl who used to wear long skirts and all that stuff, and that changed a lot. And I do remember, I have memories of being like, this doesn't make sense. Why are we talking about like girls and boys in different like changing rooms or whatever when we were all like 7 years old and like we all looked very much the same except anyway. And then kind of having those thoughts emerge and being like, oh, but that's forbidden, so we're just going to keep that aside for a while. So I don't know if there would be anything except like, because I did trust myself and my gut and my feelings. At the end of the day, it just took longer, but I think I'm fine with how it went in some ways. I think I wish I could have protected myself more and held myself more instead of just being like, no, it's no good. You know, that's something I would have loved to have for myself, to just be kinder, but it doesn't work anyway.
It works. It works. It works. Like I definitely believe in the power of being kind. So with that, we are going to take a short break, and then we're gonna get coffee. We're gonna get caffeinated. I need to get caffeinated. That's for sure. And then we'll be back in 15 minutes. So if you have a burning question in your heart, think about it, formulate it, and we'll see you in 15 minutes.
queen. I know it's just a crush. 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 No, it's just a crush. 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 You said hi and I thought, here we go. Can you tell that I am all but sober? Never realized my friends went home. Suddenly you're all I need. The situation, it gets me frustrated. It's all in my head. I fall in love way too easily. I always need to remind myself nothing of what I feel is real. But fuck, I'm such a drama queen. I know it's just a crush. 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 No, it's just a crush. 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 I know that it's just a crush, but I always read way too much into stuff. Nothing of what I feel is real. But fuck, I'm such a drama queen. I know it's just a crush. I know it's just a crush. I know it's just a crush. 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 No, it's just a crush. 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 I know that it's just a crush, but I always read way too much into stuff. Nothing of what I feel is real. But fuck, I'm such a drama queen. I know it's just a crush. I know it's just a I wanna be young, I wanna be alive. Everybody dance, don't stop. I just need a minute to find out what I'm feeling, cause I'm about to go nuts. And my demons trying to say what's up. I've been waiting for this my whole life. Wanna do it again 3-4 times, cause it's better than a dream. Highway with young lean, I will never get enough. So what a nice surprise. You're all I ever had in mind. I'm happy in the sky, a big case of desire. I will never say goodbye. That's right. That's right. That's right. I wanna be young, wanna be alive. Tell the bodies to pull up. There's a party, we can go all night. I will show you how to run the red light. If you wanna, you can call me mine. Somewhere on the highway, under the starlight, you tuck me in your arms tight. Damn, it feels right. So what a nice surprise. You're all I ever had in mind. I'm happy in the sky, a big case of desire. I will never say I just need a minute to find out what I'm feeling, 'cause I'm about to go nuts. And I love what I feel. Someone tell me
I'm doing better, life cannot be more golden. But honestly, I won't lie. Sometimes I ask why I can't get you out my head. Now hard to forget that I
really need to cut you off. You're always trying to lead me on. You're making all these promises, and you'd always quit. You're just another hypocrite. No, I'm can't you got no ahead. No, you thought that I would always stay. That you thought I'd be yours, and she got my mind, no, but someone tell me why.
carry emotions, the weight of the ocean. You keep climbing mountains, too blind to see. It's not getting you closer to where you wanna be in your life. The weight on your shoulders, time to put it down. You fall and you break, you got battles to take on, but you figure it out, yeah. When you fall and you break, you got changes to make now. See the light at the end of the tunnel, it's right there, now just look up and follow. Take one step at a time, babe, I'm with you all the way. So baby, get up, 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 up. No, don't you stay down, 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 down. Now lift yourself up, 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 up. Baby, baby, get up, baby, get up. The brighter you're shining, the darker skies get. So used to be hiding behind your fears, but from my perspective, you got just what it takes. You're in control here, don't you forget. You fall and you break, you got battles to take on, but you figure it out, yeah. When you fall and you break, you got changes to make now. See the light at the end of the tunnel,
It's right there, now just look up and follow. Take one step at a time, babe, I'm with you all the way. And baby, get up. No, don't just stay down. And lift yourself up. Baby, baby, get. So baby, get up. So baby, get up. Don't just stay down, down. Down, down, down. Yeah, yeah. Baby, get up. See the light at the end of the tunnel. It's right there, and I just look up and follow. Take one step at a time, but I'm with you all the way. So baby, get up. No, don't you stay down. Go and lift yourself up. Baby, baby, get up. It's hard Hey, listen up, I've tried to tell you this 100 times. Not getting better by lying there pretending to cry. You on repeat, you can see shit cause you have closed your eyes. You say you listen, but you're missing what it's all about. Rise up now. If you never fall, you don't change at all. Cry out now. Have you given up? I will never stop, yeah. I try to help you, but you keep reading between the lines. There's nothing there for you to complicate, we're not aligned. You say you listen, but guessing that's just another sign. Not growing up, you're growing old, your life keep passing. Rise up now. If you never fall, you don't change at all. Cry out now. Have you given up? I will never stop, yeah. Now if you break it, I can take it, I don't need a prize. Leave out the fact that I am up against 1,000 guys. My intuition efficient cause I can use my mind. Don't try to tell me how it's done, you haven't done your time. Rise up now. If you never fall, you don't change at all. Cry out now. Have you given up? I will never stop, yeah. Rise up now. If you never fall, you don't change at all. Cry out now. Have you given up? I will never stop, yeah. Rise up now. If you never fall, you don't change at all. Cry out now. Have you given up? I will never stop, yeah.
She's a diamond in the rough. Flip the coin and spin it. She knows the game by default. It makes her life more than. No one ever talk about her hair. She's a witch, she comes from where? Lives in a box made of things. It's her pets, the ones who care. And all the furniture is spinning. In the night when no one sees, turning to snow like figurines. She's spinning lights built on dreams. She's a diamond in the rough. Flip the coin and spin it. Spin it. She knows the game by default. It makes her life more than. She turned the gold into grief. She painted colors that don't exist. She used to smile but never for free. She used to cry but now she sneezes. And in the night when no one sees, turn into stone like figurine. I spend my life building dreams. She's a diamond in the rough.
one glass in, you're already on my mind. When it gets late, I always realize that I need you. Are you thinking about me tonight? It's no secret, all my friends already know. There's no reason to hold it back, I let it show. All my feelings, are you thinking about me tonight? Your hands around my waist, just let the music play. Like a drug, I am hooked on you. Sweeter than summer wine, baby, just hold me tight. Like a drug, I am hooked on you. And that makes me say, oh man, you make it feel like paradise. Goddamn, I think I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh man, you make it feel like paradise. Paradise. I'm taking a mental picture in my mind just to keep this moment till the end of time. 'Cause I know that it might be over after tonight. So before I change my mind, your hands around my waist, just let the music play. Like a drug, I am hooked on you. Sweeter than summer wine, baby, just hold me tight.
Let's explore the talk over. Is this a better volume, everybody? Yeah? Okay, great. We are coming back slowly but surely. Waiting for all of the people to come back in. Dribble, dribble, dribble. Raise your hand if you have a question. Only one of you did the homework. One. There's a singular question. Don't be shy. Any kind of thoughts or questions that came up for you, you can feel free to ask. I think you have a question. You can also share thoughts. They don't have to be questions.
It will reload, Anna.
We're not going to
if
have
you're
the music.
online-
This is just a special DJ mix.
It's a nice barbecue playlist. And if you have questions on the stream, just add a comment on Facebook or YouTube, and the question will be forwarded to us.
Very fancy over here, just so you know. So welcome back to Gender Jam. So I love our 30-minute, 15-minute break. And so I'm going to start this off on an eavesdropping note. Y'all were talking about gender euphoria. Someone mentioned it. Who said gender euphoria in the... What, how would you define like gender euphoria? Because I think for some people that's a new term. Hold on one second. Let's wait for the, there we go. You got to rap over the beat about gender euphoria. No, I'm just kidding. Gender euphoria.
So I think I would describe it as just a moment where you feel very asserted in your gender by yourself and also by other people around you, where you feel like, okay, people around you actually see me as who I am and who I feel like. And yeah, I think that's how I describe it very briefly.
Yeah, non-binary gender euphoria is funny. It's mostly if, like kids are saying, is that a boy or girl? It's sometimes it's annoying and sometimes it's euphoria. And as I told before, my first meeting with my endocrinologist, where she didn't know why I was here, whether from my outfit, from my expression, nor from my voice. That was big euphoria.
Are we looking for examples of euphoria or what euphoria is? I can't describe what it is because it's just so specific. It's just such a feeling.
I feel like it's important for Mio to know that it was their question. Because they keep...
Was that your question? Oh, okay. So we're going to take the first question. Hold on.
Yeah, my question was because M told the story of going to the doctors and they're being confused, and that gave them euphoria. So I was wondering if you have like a story to share, like a very specific moment that just happened, but you remember, and it gave you just euphoria where you did not quite expect it to happen. That was my...
Do you want to go? Okay. Actually, when you asked that question, I had time to think, because you asked it before. Because I haven't had many of those, I think, but I do remember very vividly. I was with a group of friends. We were in Brighton to go to Brighton Pride, which is amazing, by the way. And this person came up to me and was like, oh my God, I was just telling my girls, I have to tell them that they look amazing. And to me, that was a thing of like, you saw that? You saw the they, them? And to me, that was the first time there wasn't a moment of like, it's not she. Thank you. And that was like super exciting, completely random. And I was just so elated to go to Pride because I was also wearing a very specific outfit that kind of signals, you know, being part of the BDSM kind of community. And they also kind of caught on to that. And then everyone at Pride understood. We were all wearing similar things. Like also I had a collar on, which is very specific, and someone else was, and we just looked at each other like, I see you. And that was just extremely validating and feeling so seen, because usually it's like, you know, doctors will just go for the she, and then I say I'm trans, and they're like, oh, what part of transition you in? And I'm like, it's okay. So that was actually a really, really nice moment, I remember.
I got something to say.
It's your turn.
The most one where I felt the euphoria was the one where the kids in the camp thought I was a cis guy, but I have a different one, which is not necessarily euphoria, but just such as yes, but okay. I've been working at my job now for 2 years, and all the way through, I've never been a woman. I've been different flavors of trans, but I've never been a woman. But my workplace is very cishet man, very we guys doing warehouse things. So it was never a place for me to be like, actually guys, I am not a woman. So I just left it, and I was like, I don't care about these guys. I'm doing my work hours. I'm not gonna talk to them. Doesn't matter. And so I didn't do it for 2 years, but then came the point where I changed my name, and I was like, I think they might catch on soon. And so the day when I changed my name and I came into work, and I had to tell my boss, like, yo, all the things are wrong now. Can you please change it? And he was like, yeah. And I came into work, and I was this one, like, we have a big boss, and we have, like, 3 small bosses. And one of them I was really not afraid of, but really, like, scared of his reaction. Because he's the most politically incorrect person I think I've talked to. He's insane. The shit that man says so casually. And I'm just like, huh? So I was really afraid, and I came that day into work, and I was sitting outside smoking a cigarette. He came outside, lit up his joint at like 2 p.m. at work, and I was just like, that's gonna be a good one. And he was like, I saw you changed your name, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, you want to be called that? And I was like, yeah. Duh. Also a question I got a lot at work. Like 2 months after, they're like, so new name, huh? Do you want to be called that? I'm like, yes, please.
No shit, Sherlock.
Literally. But then I was sitting outside, and then he was like, so you're like a man? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, are you like doing the hormones? And I was like, he's got some education. And then I was like, yeah, I'm doing the hormones. I've been on hormones now for a couple months. And then he tried to give me advice on how to take testo, because he's like one of those gym bros, like, yeah, I take testo for recreational purposes. And then he tried to give me advice, and he was like, I was like, no, I get it like from the doctor. He's like, oh, you got that good shit. And then he tried to like, yeah, and you like gotta put it like this spot and like this much. And I was like, no, like the doctor gives it to me. And he was like, how many milligrams? And I was like, I don't know, the doctor does it. But that was such a strange conversation. But he was so like ally, but in such a strange way, because also like days after, he just like, we were in conversation, he was like, yeah, I can hit you now, you're not a woman anymore. And I was like,
Gee, thanks.
yeah, I was like, I like the sentiment, I don't like the phrasing or the subliminal messages behind it. Also at some point, because at work we have like phones strapped to our arms, and I was once again sitting outside smoking as I do at work. And he just came up to the side and like started touching my phone to look at something, and I just like got shocked because like in my headphone I'm watching something, I'm smoking face, and I was like, whoa, and he was like, no worries, I'm not gonna touch you, no homo. And it's just the most strange allyship. I was just like, yeah, rock on.
I love the Jimboro reference, because actually once I was with a friend, we were looking at videos on how to give us injections like ourselves, and we came across like this YouTube channel from like the Jimbro guy giving himself testo shots and explaining how to do it. And it's super funny because he's just like he gives himself the shot, and then he has the needle like dangling from his butt, and he's just there talking, explaining things, and the needle is just like hanging there in his butt. And it's super like, well, also, thank you, bro. You're doing educational work for trans people.
I have a very sweet or furious story to tell. The kid in my life, when I first met her, her mom Sam already told her my pronouns, and when they were the first time at my place, she just used them correctly, and it was so sweet. Even if she used the wrong pronouns, she corrected herself and said the right they pronouns again, and it's just so damn sweet. She even corrects her other mom if she doesn't use them wrong. I can't even, it's so lovely.
So I had a question. When you were like in your baby shoes of transitioning, and you were like questioning stuff and then thinking maybe like trying a new name or other pronouns, did it feel right, like right from the beginning? Or was it like when you were like first time telling your friends, hey, maybe try calling me this, like how did it feel right at the beginning?
Mixed for me. Yeah, being trans was like on lightning speed. When I got the awareness about I'm trans, you can be trans, this is existing, this is there. I was so sure. I got through everything with lightning speed. In Salzburg I had good doctors, and the Krankenkasse was also great in this case. Oh. Yeah, Vienna is a bit more shitty. And yeah, and then with being non-binary, it was, am I not? Let's try out, let's try this. I switched to several pronouns until my they deren now. So yeah, it's mixed experience.
Yeah, I will also say it was pretty mixed for me, especially like taking the decision to go on T and start taking hormones. That was something where I'm like as soon as I started doing it, it felt super right, and it still does, and it feels super good. But before actually starting, there were lots of doubts around that. If it would be the right thing, if I would end up not liking it, all of that kind of questions. But actually, yeah, as soon as I started doing it, it was like, yep, this feels right, this feels good. But also I feel like pronouns are never fixed. Like if at some point you feel like, okay, I don't know, for example, like he, him is not fitting anymore, they then feels better now, then it's just what it is. And it's just a thing you need to try out, I think. And yeah.
I think a lot of trans people can like understand this experience of you never miss when somebody misgenders you. Like it's always like when somebody calls me she, I'm always like, like it never goes past me. Not just like in conversation. It was like, but now I still have it when people call. Like I always never miss when people call me he, because I'm like, stop. Or also when people call me Oscar, I'm like, you're so right for that. I am Oscar. You're hit on the money. Because it does feel strange to have the name. I do like my name, but it's still, I'm like, ooh, I have a new name. Also, it's legal. Like 10 years now, can't change it. Gotta feel good.
Yeah, we also talked about that, about the name, if it ever feels like odd to you, because for me it was a very like, we talked about this outside. I read Alok's book and they were just explaining, I guess, facilitating the term of non-binary. I'm like, yup, that's it. And from there on out, I called up my friends because I didn't want to see their faces when I told them. So I called them and I was just like, yep, I'm an NB now. We can do she for a while because you knew me for so long. So, you know, I don't want you to have a hard time. But then I was like, I've had a hard time for the past 25 years, get used to it. And so that went quite quickly. And then there's a lot of, it's still, as you're saying as well, like you don't miss it. For me, it's like at work, my colleagues are older. And they will do that thing where they're just like, you know, they'll just try and then they're so proud of themselves. But every time I hear them talk about me, all I can do is like, I'm suddenly very aware of them. Like, it's like I hear their voice in my ear and I'm just ready to hear them misgender me. And they just don't do it anymore. And that's just been extremely affirming. Like I told my colleague, that older colleague specifically, I told him at an event we were working at, it was a very fancy event and it was ridiculous and we got very drunk and I'm like, so I'm a they, them. And then he's like, I love you no matter what. It doesn't make any sense, but I love you. And then, yeah, we've had some fights, he and I, because he's very special, but we always kind of, when, you know, the whole fight was about something else and then I was like, and on top of that, you misgendered me while you were talking behind my back. And then he was like, yeah, about the misgendering, I'm really sorry. And like, he got super emotional over it. I'm like, as you should, sir. That's actually been really nice. Of course, I think in the beginning, there was also this thing of, I used to have longer hair, like quite long. And I wanted to keep it long, to have the thing of like, it doesn't matter how I'm presenting, it's just about how you should talk to me and how you should see me as a person. And then cutting my hair, well, I shaved it because I bleached it too many times and then I had scabs all over my head. And so that was an interesting experience. Shaving it was so incredibly affirming for me. It's like, this is what I want for myself and it feels so good, but am I then just like, am I doing this just to kind of add a new code for people to then see me? And that has also been something I've discussed with a friend of mine who's now trying a lot more quote unquote like femme styles. I think that's also where we will oftentimes have those debates of like, yeah, but what is femme and what is masc, right? It's like, who cares? But it's still part of like who we have known ourselves to be, I guess. And so in that sense, I feel like looking at them, they're, you know, they have the longer hair now too that they want to shave off as well to kind of just show again that they are trans. But it's been so affirming for me in a sense, just watching them. I feel like now I see them feeling so much more comfortable and being so much more them, and there's just no question in mind. And that's just been so fun. Like, you can do whatever you want, really, at the end of the day. And just pronouns are they're fluid. I feel like a lot of it, especially when people ask stuff like, have you finished your transition? Like, bro, that's for life. That's not a thing of like, I'm done. No, that's not happening. And that's also like, why would you, right? Right, Oscar?
There is no goal for transitioning. At least for me. I'm just a gender blob, a raccoon gender blob.
Yep, it never ends.
My goal is just a proper mustache. Then I'm done.
Oh yeah, love it. You will get there.
Don't look.
So do you have any more questions?
Here we go.
Thank you. What are the right German pronouns to use? Because in English it's easy, it's they, them, but what's in German?
They, deren und them ist die deutsche Deklinierungsform. Also es ist, also bei den deutschen Pronomen, die ich verwende, ist es recht aus diesem englischen they, them abgeleitet. Also they, deren, them. They hat deren Rucksack vergessen. Ich bin mit dem verabredet.
It's D-E-Y.
Ja, weiches D-E-Y, deren, wie man spricht, und dem ist mit Doppel-M. Zumindest in meiner Form. Und dieses they, deren gibt es mehrere Formen, also da muss man oft fragen. Es gibt welche, die verwenden they, deren, they. Also man muss wirklich nachfragen oder schauen, ob sie im Social Media Profil die komplette Deklinierung steht.
Yeah, also thank you for adding that it's like in your form, right? Because I feel like we all kind of, I think neopronouns are super important, especially like being introduced in German, because like linguistics are the one thing I care about in this world. And so just watching language change and then imagine children going to school and just like learning she, her, they, also sie, and then like they, to me that is mind-blowingly cool, just being able to see, because we used to, like, I used to be part of a group, of an activist group, where we talked about that so much, like where we were postering a lot about gender-based violence, and that's why like that became such a question as well in terms of gender and in terms of what kind of writing do we use, what kind of language do we want to use, and just seeing that happen. I think in my case at least, like I still do the English they, also in German, but I also just really like us using names. That's just the best way. Also, in Austrian German, it's very typical to say like die or der about a person. And in German, that's not a thing at all, except for Bavaria, but that doesn't count. And so that's just been, I think it's such a nice way to actually just talk about people, to kind of also, I guess for a second, before you know the person or whatever, to kind of just not assume any gender, just go by name and see how that goes, I think.
I mean, another nice Euphoria story and about pronouns is the first non-binary pronouns I tried was in German sie, sieren, and I was traveling around Germany a bit, visiting some Twitter mutuals and also going to a birthday party in Berlin from some Twitter mutuals, and when I was there, they all learned them. The pronouns were heavily complex. I never met them yet in real life, and they have all learned it and used it. Even the person where I stayed overnight there had a little post-it with all the declinations.
I have a question, because you touched on it briefly, about gender expression, I guess. Because at least for me personally, what also kind of kept me from like accepting my transness it was kind of the idea like, oh, if I'm non-binary, I have to dress androgynously. And I guess the question would kind of be, what is your, I guess, relationship between your gender and your gender expression, and what does that kind of mean to you?
I think that's also a journey, as they would say. I think it's definitely a thing of like, I used to wear dresses, especially to protests, because no one would assume that I'm an activist. That was always really nice. Like that one demo we went to that was just insane. May 1st, I had a yellow dress with like flowers and no one knew. And it was so good. But like now, the idea of dresses, I think the nice thing is that it really depends on how I'm doing, I guess, because I don't know if you can tell, I have quite big chesticles. So, you know, they're a big part of my style, I guess. Like how do I, on some days I'm much more comfortable with like hiding that part, and on other days, like, and also the hiding part is super exciting for me, or like just the kind of like, it's just, we've talked about this as well, when it's like, I have this like one dress that just looks like a potato sack, but I'm so happy in that dress because it's like, nobody knows except you. And that's really nice. And then on other days, just like wearing things that make me feel so like affirmed in like, I see, that's the thing again, like with androgyny, like who, like, I think it's also androgyny can be, or just gender expression can be incredibly limiting for certain body types. Cause it's still a thing of like, you can, if you're like tall, thin, I guess it's just much more easy to kind of fall into those roles. And if you're not, I think I thought for a very long time that it's limiting, but actually like you just do your own thing. And that's, I think, the most important part. I think also, again, being surrounded by people who get you. You know, there's just no such, there's no questions, and there's just like, you wear certain clothes because you feel comfortable in them, and then on other days you don't. I think that's just, you're just vibing, and I think that's been the easiest for me. Like also when I go to work, I'd like to just have clothes that are not my pajamas, because I usually wear pajamas a lot of the time, because they're just like, I think that's how I would be able to describe it. But then when I go to work, also feeling or dressing more corporate does something. Like, you know, it's like you have to play a certain role. And in terms of what Denise said about identities, like that is one of my roles, that is one of my identities. I have this job where I have to just work with people where it's just, we all have to be a certain type to kind of get through what we need to do, and that's really helpful. And I think also giving that exposure to other people helps, because then they're much more, they see the way you dress and the way you carry yourself, and they, I don't want to say they get interested, but they feel like, oh, there's endless possibilities to not constantly wearing suits, or maybe wearing suits also as a cis woman, for example. That for them is mind-boggling, and you know, for us it's like, yeah. So that's, I think, a very interesting part of it.
Yeah, for me, I did feel like, especially when I first came out as non-binary and then trans, I had this huge pressure to kind of like perform that gender as well, so that people also read me as that and perceive me as that. And so I was, dressing super mask, I guess. And and then I feel like also, especially when I started taking, doing hormone therapy and everything, and people started reading me or perceiving me differently, I felt like, okay, actually I can, like, because I love doing makeup, I love, I don't know, painting my nails, whatever, but for quite a time I felt like I couldn't do that, because then people would still read me as a woman or whatever, which made me feel super uncomfortable. And now I feel like if I do that, oftentimes I even get asked from what to what I'm like transitioning. They're like, like, are you a trans man or a trans woman? And I'm just like, why the fuck do you care about my genitals so much? It doesn't matter. And so I do feel like, especially also going on hormones for me, kind of like freed me to be more free. That's not English, whatever. Made me feel like I can be more free in like my gender expression and what I wear and how I dress, and that I don't feel that pressure anymore of having to, just dress a certain way, I guess.
In short, I'm a slut. I'm mostly leaning on the femme side. I mean, no matter if it's summer or winter, I always wear hot pants. I don't like jeans. I don't know why. It doesn't feel right. Long jeans. I don't know. Maybe it's a sensory feeling. I'm autistic, and sensory stuff is it's special. It's just hot pants, t-shirt, or tank top the whole year, most of the time. Otherwise, makeup, I don't have the spoons for it, and often it doesn't feel right, so it's somehow a mix. Then there are some gender fluid days where I use a binder. It's fun, yeah. But yeah, like I'm here, that's 99% of the year.
Okay, first I have a funny story for you guys. When I went to my psychiatrist appointment to get meine F64 Transgenderismus-Diagnose, I then got back the giant attest that said all the things, and then I didn't really read through it because I was like, I know what it says. Played likes the color blue. Didn't like Barbies as a child, like all the usual shit that they write. But then, like, ages after I read through it, and the very first sentence in the thing says, and it's so ridiculous. Der Patient kommt pünktlich und ist überwiegend männlich gekleidet. And I was like, where did I slip up? He clocked me. What do you mean überwiegend? But yeah, my point of transitioning is just getting so far into the looking like a man that I can dress feminine again, because so much of my life is being perceived as a masked woman, which is my worst nightmare. Also, for all those years, the people at work just thought I was the butchiest lesbian they've ever seen. And I was like, no, I'm just a little twink. But I was also blessed with a natural hourglass figure, so I'm just trying to get, because as soon as I would dress more femme, it would already, like, with the curves and the things, it would go woman very far. And I was like, I just want to be so that's what the mustache is for. I just want to get a mustache so I can then wear eyeliner again.
It's like a bing boing.
Yeah.
Someone just said, I can relate so hard. Someone, I'm not naming names, they might be in the second row, but someone. So we are at time, unless there is one final questione, which I'm sure that's how you do Italian, right? No? I want to thank you all so much. I feel like having this constellation was so important, and I'm really happy that y'all spent your morning with me. You have coffee indefinitely from me. And I admire you all so much. I follow y'all all, as you know, and I look forward to us building more community and more creations together as time goes on. Can we give them a round of applause? Yes. Feel free to stay and hang out. We have a big day planned. From 3 p.m. on, we'll be serving Brazilian food. That's going to be delicious. And then we have the Acht Brüste tonight, the DJs. So thank you so much. And that concludes Ginger Jam, part 1.
It's not about us. You know it's not about us. You know it's not about us. You know it's not about us. I think I'm arsenic, but you don't mind that I'm toxic. Somehow you're fine with it, even when I'm chaotic. You see the shade in the cold, it's just my bad temper. What am I supposed to do when the flame's going high with my bad patience? I hate it always falls on you. But you know it's not about our love fading. You know it's not about, yeah. You know it's not about our love ending. You know it's not about, it's not about us. You know it's not about us. You know it's not about us. You know it's not about us. Shade in the cold, it's just my bad temper. What am I supposed to do when the flame's going high with my bad patience? I hate it always falls on you. But you know it's not about our love fading. You know it's not about, yeah. You know it's not about our love ending. You know it's not about, it's not about us. You know it's